Okay, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Mark Hannigan. I'm one of the Greenbackers partners. I'm based in Texas in the USA, but I'm British, as you can tell, and I will be Scottish specifically, and I will be at COP with you all in person in a few weeks' time. You also have on the call from Greenbackers Andrew Smith, John Steedman, Robert Hoken, and Rory. So you've got just about all of us. So the purpose of this call, the objective of the call, is we want all of you coming off of the call crystal clear on what is expected of you for participation in the event on November 9th and what you need to do in advance of that to maximize the impact of your participation on November 9th. So we've kind of prepared a master slide deck. I think that's the way we're going to run this call, where we'll kind of step through the event on the 9th and talk about what you need to do to prepare for it, to give you an idea of the nature of the event, the structure of it, all that stuff. So I think Robert, maybe we'll try and go through this, and then we have 45 minutes scheduled. So try and maximize the amount of time for Q&A, I think, right? Because you know, we don't know what you're going to ask, and we want you coming off the call comfortable with your questions answered. Anything
one short one from me, Mark, just to throw in. We are recording, as has been said, so you'll have access to the recording of this too, as a kind of Bible you can go back to if you want to. We'll make it available to everybody, as well as those who are not on the call. So don't worry about taking copious notes or anything like that. If you want to take notes, obviously feel free, no problem with that at all. But you will have access to the recording of this session and all the slides as well. So don't worry about that. Sorry, Mark.
Okay, great. So just before we jump into the slides, I just want to recap for everyone, because although we at Greenbackers are living and breathing this is probably one of a number of programs that each of you are involved in. So just to recap, our approach here with 26 for COP26 has been to utilize all of our Greenbackers outreach and marketing machinery, including our exclusive online deal room, to build investor interest in all of your ventures using the materials you've provided in your profile, your pitch deck, your video, all of your stuff. And we all have been working very hard to build that investor interest over the preceding 6 months. The idea was always that would crescendo, so to speak, at the COP itself, when the eyes of the world and you know, all of the clean tech investors of the world are looking. So this is the kind of the culmination of all of the interest that we've built to date, with the eyes of the world looking at you guys on November 9th, just to put the event in context of the whole 6-month program. Okay, want to page down, Rory? We'll go through this, please. Okay, yes, so first point of order is on the evening before November 9th in Glasgow, November 8th, obviously, one of our sponsors has kindly invited all of you to a CEO's dinner in Glasgow, and the restaurant is listed there. It's just one person from each venture, as you can imagine. That's quite a lot of people. So if you haven't done so already, please RSVP so that we can plan for numbers and we know who's going to be there. If you are planning on being in Glasgow, I would encourage you strongly to come to the event. I think it will be excellent. We'll all be there.
Can I just chip in? Sorry, Mark. That should say November. Obviously, I accidentally put August. Apologies about that. But yeah, it will be 8th of November, the day before the event. Okay, great.
Next page, please. All right, so we'll run through the detail of where is the event and what's the running order. Then we'll give you some detail on what to do for your pitch, and then some homework beyond that. So the event is frankly a world-class event, so you can rest assured that the venue is excellent. It's in a very new multi-million-dollar technology and innovation center within the University of Strathclyde, which is the big leading university and kind of technical center of excellence for industrial innovation. which is located in the city itself. Glasgow University, not located in the city, it's out in the West End. Strathclyde University is almost situated downtown, slightly east of downtown, very close to the COP campus itself, you know, a couple of miles. Glasgow is actually a very easy city to navigate. Nothing's too far away from anything else. There's a wonderful subway system. So this is within the campus of Strathclyde University. It's a brand new multimedia world-class auditorium built for the digital age. So all of the facilities are there. And the whole event runs from kind of early to mid-afternoon through to 9 p.m. So for those who are participating in person, not virtually, it's basically a whole day, you know, and I would encourage you to be there for as much, if not all of that as you can, because before the formal event, you know, you want to be setting up in the foyer for the networking area, familiarizing yourself. As the slide says there, and we've got access from 2 p.m. We've got the kind of arrival, check-in, networking starting from 3 p.m. So those of you who have pop-up banners, the case of CityQ, hopefully vehicles and other interesting props, then that's the time you want to be in there setting up. Do I have access to a power socket? Do I have this? Do I have that? You want to be doing that kind of from 2 o'clock onwards. In the pack that Rory's already sent out, you've got a kind of floor layout of the event. So you'll have this already, so you can orientate yourselves on arrival. Where's the foyer for networking? Where's the main event? I think that's all pretty self-explanatory. Yeah, so this is the foyer where each of you are going to have like a mini exhibitor space, not a full booth, obviously, but kind of cafe style tables. And you can kind of supplement that with a prop or a pop-up banner if you want to. There's plenty of space. There's good generous door access if you're bringing in something of substantial dimensions, like the CityQ vehicle. So that's the facility can cater for that. You'll be allocated a specific table number with your venture. So, you know, get there early and make your cafe table and mini booth as attractive as possible, because all of our delegates are going to be walking through that space on the way in, and that's where we're going to, I believe, have the networking after the event.
I can say something, chip in on that point, Mark. Guys, if you do have and can bring a pop-up banner, that's not a bad thing to do, because it just helps the delegates find you. We do find in the networking part of these types of sessions, it gets busy. People might be trying to find you in the scrum, and just having that identification with your brand very proud on the top, as opposed to in the middle or even the bottom, is a good way for people to just to track you down and see where you're at. So I won't say anything more on that.
Yeah, and just to give some people ideas, so the guys, as I've mentioned several times already, the guys from CityQ are hoping to bring the e-cargo bike. The guys from Power, which is a mobile phone-based app, are hoping to bring it's kind of like a giant mobile phone screen, plasma TV thing on a stand that you can simulate an app. I know that Reed from Limit Jeans has got his own kind of backboard that he uses in a lot of presentations. So if you have props that convey your message, you know, and make you stand out a little bit, you're kind of competing for the eyeballs of the delegates. All right, so doors open at 2, people start arriving at 3, and then at 4 o'clock we'll be ushering people into the auditorium to start. You can see that the presentation area is, you know, down on the front wall, if you like, with the podium. There's seating on the floor, and then there's tiered seating, or bleachers, as they call it here in the US, bleacher seating up at the back. It's kind of triangle shaped, right, guys? I haven't physically been to it, but it's kind of like a pizza wedge. It's like a pizza wedge.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And the pictures, show it reasonably well. But it is as you've identified, Mark, it is a world-class space, and the team there are very used to holding events there. And we'll come on shortly to live streaming, but we've got a separate expert, a firm contracted in to do the live streaming element of the show. And show is a good name for it, because we want you to come out when you're presenting and show your best foot forward, and make sure that you're using the opportunity to really shout out to the online investor audience. Mark, back to you.
Yeah, I think it seats about 250. Is that the right number, guys? When fully occupied with no COVID restrictions, is that the number?
No, it's actually larger. It's flexible seating, so we can have up to, I think, around 400 without social distancing. But we're planned for 250 because it's impossible to know at this stage whether social distancing will be a factor or not. Strathclyde hasn't declared yet, and of course, as you know, things could escalate. It's not impossible that social distancing won't be in place. At this stage, we're preparing for both eventualities, which is why the live streaming element will be important as well.
Yeah, and just one other thing to add in, Mark, which we may be covering later, but we are being approached now by a number of media outlets who want to come to the event and offer some coverage. We will obviously advise all of you in a mailing ahead of the event who's going to be there, so that you know already. The reason I mention it is you'll be prepared in advance for potentially being involved with a journalist. They will typically be a journalist from a clean tech publications and online publications. So just be ready with some snappy, short comebacks. Sometimes it's better to prepare. As you're putting together the information you're bringing, just have that in the back of your mind. As I say, we will brief you on who is going to be there. We are finding that with recent coverage we've had for the event in mainstream press, these inquiries are starting to stack up a bit. But we will confirm that to you later.
Yep. And so thank you, Andrew. Yeah, in the chat, asking who's going to be in the audience, guys. Glad to see that. Presenter 101, know your audience. So that's wholly appropriate to ask that question. So we expect certainly the dominant type of person in the audience will be an investor, no question about it. We already have confirmations from some of the biggest corporate VC companies in the world, and a real mix of investor types. You'll recall that the investor types that we deal with are family funds, impact funds, corporate VCs, traditional VCs, high net worths, the occasional angel, but we're quite selective about the angels. So there'll be representation of all of those groups in there. There will be government people. There will be people from the Scottish investor community because it's their local backyard, people that you don't know before. There will be delegates who are in town for COP and make a decision on the fly during the 2 weeks to be there. So, everybody that's been exposed to your venture already will either be in the room or online for the webinar, but there will also be a lot of new investor people in the room that your business hasn't had contact with. There will be people physically attending who are there to see specific ventures A, C, and F, and they won't know your business, and then they'll see it in the networking floor. But to be clear, it's an investor event. The presentation needs to speak to investors. The objective is to raise capital. Hopefully that answers that question. All right, so this is the kind of the running order, if you like. So we'll just go through it. I should say that we've broken the 26 down into 4 groups. I'm trying to do this from memory. So you're in kind of 4 mini cohorts, which are thematic. The first one is sustainable transportation, as you can see there. So I'll just list these off before we go through the slides. So your presentation will be in one of 4 groups. Group 1, sustainable transportation. Group 2, blue economy. Group 3, power and energy. And Group 4, resource conservation. So your business will be in one of those 4 groups. What that means is you'll be in a mini group of peers who are all presenting sequentially, and that subset of presentations will then be followed by a short panel discussion to speak about that theme or topic. So there's 4 of those, 2 before the interval break and 2 afterwards. And both the sessions before the break and after the break are started by keynote speeches. So that's the kind of design of the event. It's in 2 halves. Each half contains 2 mini cohorts, 2 panel discussions, and a keynote speaker. And there's a reasonably generous interval break in the middle. So as you can see here, when the event starts, we kick off with our first, after the Greenbackers team kind of set the scene, we have the first keynote speaker, and then it's straight into the first mini cohort, which I am managing. It's sustainable transportation. You can see the group that are there. I think we're not sure on hydrogen systems because they're based in Australia. We're hoping they might have someone live, but maybe not. That's okay. They can deliver a pre-recorded video. That's fine too. So we will go through that group, and then each of you guys will sit down again, and then I'll chair a panel discussion with panelists who are relevant to that subsector. Okay, Rory, next. We will then go straight into mini cohort number 2, which is about the blue economy. That will be managed by Andrew Smith, my colleague. Again, we will have sequential mini pitches, if you like, from each of these guys. Again, everyone other than one is going to be live, which is brilliant. Everybody's in the room. That's so much better. And then a similar panel discussion with hand-picked panelists who are relevant to the sector. And it may be that within those panel discussions, one of the panelists has a specific question about one of your businesses, and you'll have the opportunity to answer that. Then we have a 25-minute recess, because that's quite a lot of pitches to digest for people. So that's back out to the floor. Man your mini booth, get on your cafe table, work the room. You guys know how it is. Every day we're hustling. That's the nature of life. So that'll be the recess. Get to the bathroom, get some caffeine. Don't think there'll be any alcohol available at that point, which is probably a good thing. Alcohol comes later. All right, Rory. And then back in for the second half. So again, another high impact keynote speech from a VIP to perk everyone up. Then into mini cohort 3, energy and power, managed by my colleague John Steedman, who's on the call here. You can see that all of those guys are live and in the room. Excellent again. And then you're getting the idea now. And then short panel discussion related to that theme and sector. Straight on to mini cohort 4, resource conservation. Again, just about everybody's live. Reed's still making his mind up. And then the final panel discussion on that sector. Then we close out with reflections and thanks, but your work is not over at that point. In fact, I would argue the most important work then commences, which is networking, grabbing those investors in the networking area. Alcohol is available at this point for you to bring the adrenaline down a couple of notches, work the room, meet the investors, secure follow-up meetings. And so at that point, I want to pause and just, actually, it's okay. Let's keep going. I'll say it on the next slide. Anything to add there, guys, on the run through?
Yeah, just one thing. There's a question in the chat about Q&A. So look, the live sessions themselves, the panels may, as Mark has said, generate questions for you. But one of the, the key target audience for us here, for all of us, for you and for us, is the online investor community. Yes, the investors in the crowd, of course. What we are going to have on site is help for you to manage the questions that come at you through the platform from investors. So right at the beginning of the event, right at the top of the event, and at the top of each session, we will be reminding those online how they can engage with the platform and pose questions for you. So one of the things we want you to prepare for is post your session to be somewhere with your laptop, dealing with the questions that have come in from investors on your profile on the platform. So we want you to be doing that. And we'll have people, Greenbackers people on site whose job is going to be to monitor the platform and to help you with that process. So yes, be prepared for some questions in the live sessions themselves, but more so have a method agreed if you're coming with two people to deal with that. And that's one reason why it's good if you can have a couple of people there, one to work the room and deal with people who are there, but one to capture live the interactions that your presentation generates on the platform.
Yep, a great segue, Andrew. So let me elaborate even further on that. So before we jump into the pitch, so I want to link to what Andrew said there, because of course we want to capture investor interest, investor questions. So the objective of your mini pitch is to make an investor who's online go to the deal room and look in more detail the showcase, at your pitch deck, at who makes up your team, at your projection numbers, at your longer video. But the purpose of your mini pitch is to hook someone to go have a more detailed look on the deal room. And in there, they can actually chat with the venture and fire a bunch of questions. So I would insist almost that each of you have someone from your team logged in to your profile on the showcase throughout the event. Now, the beauty of digital technology is that person could be on the other side of the world or back at your base. They don't even have to be in Glasgow. You just have to have one of your team logged in on your profile on the deal room, dealing with questions in real time. We will be pushing hard in the weeks preceding the event to say to investors who are attending virtually, make sure you're on the deal room platform during the pitches, so that effectively ventures can do diligence in real time. They have you on a Zoom call pitching, and they're able to crawl through your mini data room at the same time. For those ventures who are watching the pitch online but are not yet in the deal room, our team will be capturing the responses from those guys directly through the Zoom functionality, so we won't miss any questions. But what we're trying to achieve is an almost real, so there's some investor sitting in San Francisco watching you guys pitch late afternoon in Glasgow. He likes what he heard. You've moved off the stage. It's the next presenter, but he's sitting logged into the deal room and he's able to drill into the detail. You'll see all of that interaction will be logged in your deal room profile and on the chat with investor page. So, for those of you who haven't really leveraged your platform on Dealum, your profile, you probably want to get savvy with that, because if your pitch is remotely interesting, you're going to get an influx of questions through your profile. So between now and the event, make sure you are as savvy as possible with your Dealum profile. Okay. So the pitch itself. So it's a 2-minute pitch. We know that that's tight, but as you can imagine, we've got 26 of you guys to get through, and we've got to be kind to our audience. Remember, you're not trying to convey your entire business plan in 2 minutes. That's why you have your profile in Dealum, which should have a longer video, a pitch deck, a business plan, and the bios of all of your team. So it's a 2-minute video because you want the person watching online or the person in the room to take a note and say, those guys from Limit Jeans, I really like that. I'm going to dig into that a bit more. In the case of people in the room, they'll be doing it the next day in the office. In the case of people who are online, they'll be doing it real time. So it's 2 minutes. It can be done. We circulated a video to you guys. I happen to be the picture in that video, and you all have a copy of that video. I conveyed everything that you need to convey for a business that I'm working with, Kestrel, in that video. You want to pique curiosity. You want people to know more. You want to deliver the key messages. You can self-record yourself on Zoom. It's super, super easy. If you need help, call our team. Even if you are planning to pitch in person, right, which is 90% of you guys, still got to do it in 2 minutes. We are insisting that you record a 2-minute video for 2 reasons. One, it will allow you to practice and perfect your in-person 2-minute video delivery. And 2, when something messes up, which it absolutely will, because we run these events all the time, we will have the guaranteed backup of your digital pre-recorded video to ensure a seamless event and ensure that your venture is still represented in its time slot. We need those 2-minute videos in by the end of the month. Okay. In terms of the pitching style, I've kind of said this to some of my cohort. So, you know, this you can kind of use a bit of artistic license with this. This is not your standard, bog standard investor pitch video that's on your profile. You can be a bit more fun. You know, you want to stand out from the other 25 guys. You want it to be personalized for this event. Ideally, mention the event in your brief. Make it exciting. Like I said, you want to hook curiosity. I think, again, the video that we circulated is a good proxy for what you need to do. Andrew,
just to say that, and I'm sure I speak for the other guys too, but if any of my cohort at any time want to chat to me about that, want to practice, want to, you know, get my thinking on that, please don't hesitate to get in touch. We can have a couple of sessions if you like over Zoom, and I'll give you my thoughts on how you should do that. Equally, don't feel obliged to do that. You know, those of you who think, I know what I'm doing, I'm confident to do it myself, no problem, that's also okay. But if you do want any help or assistance with nailing this, don't hesitate to get in touch with me in respect of my cohort, and I'm sure the other guys in respect of theirs. Okay. Absolutely, same here.
Yeah, and just to close off on the 2-minute thing, guys, we could make it 3 minutes or 4 minutes, which would push the overall event to 4 or 5 hours, and nobody would come. So we just can't do that. You know, it's got to be 2 minutes, because we've got to be reasonable with asking people to come to an event that lasts 2.5 to 3 hours. There's just no other way to do it. So, okay. Oh, the example. Are we playing it?
Can do, yeah.
I don't mind. Yeah.
This is your moment in the sun. Oh, come on, we've got to.
Okay.
Hi, everyone. I'm Mark Hannigan, co-founder and chairman of Kestrel Aerial. We are a digital compliance solutions company focused on industrial infrastructure. I'd like to tell you a little bit today about the market that we operate in. The industrial infrastructure maintenance market is undergoing an incredible transformation right now. As you can see here, moving from the left, paper-based manual, on-site, carbon-intensive and reactive, to a futuristic, digital, automated, remote, low-carbon and predictive approach, covering lots of industrial end sectors. The opportunity for Kestrel is around UAV drone inspection services. The market is growing at an incredible pace, literally 10x over the next 5 years, allowing companies like Kestrel to service the market, providing inspection reports, compliance reports, digital twins, emissions detection, and disaster recovery services. There are very significant barriers to entry for this market and the position that we enjoy. You got to have the right tech, hardware and software. Got to have enough capital to acquire that equipment. Got to have the knowledge to know how to use it and have the FAA accreditations to fly it. and the markets that we serve are very, very difficult to become pre-qualified in. We have a ground up, really robust growth plan that will see us fly out of the gate with $800,000 of pre-orders, which almost covers our full year one revenue, and will reach 5 million EBITDA within 5 years. We're currently seeking $2 million of investment, of which we've already secured 400K. And I'd love you to check out our detailed profile in the Greenbackers investment deal room. Look forward to speaking to everybody in due course. Thanks for your time.
Okay, that was actually 2 minutes, 10 seconds. So I was slightly non-compliant there with the 10-second overrun, but there was a period of silence at the start. So I'm sure.
Okay,
I'm sure we could trim it. So I know that's frustrating for you all. I know you all want to do a 5-minute pitch to tell us all about your fabulous venture and everything you've achieved. It's just not possible, hopefully for reasons you understand. But anyway, I want people curious about Kestrel, wanting to come out and see me in the, in the networking floor with my big Kestrel banner. I won't actually be there with Kestrel, but I'm using this as an analogy. And I want to direct them to the deal room. I want to set up a follow-up meeting. I want people messaging me in the showcase platform to say, hey, what about this? What about that? My detailed deck is there. That's the objective. We're now going to cover your homework, your to-do tasks, and then have more Q&A. And please do ask the questions if you have any. Okay, Rory. Right, so I won't read the slide, guys. But this is your homework. It's pretty straightforward. You'll get a recording of this and the slide pack. I would say the big ones get the video done. And I know it's a royal pain in the butt for you guys, but it will force you to hone and perfect a 2-minute pitch, and it will give us a digital backup. Because believe me, something will go wrong on the day. Then just tell us who's coming. And you can see the video deadline there. Those are the main things. Oh yeah, and investors, we are, we're going for it in terms of promoting the event and locking in investor attendees. But if there's anyone you especially want to be there, send us their name, even if it's somebody you don't know, but a target investor you've been trying to get to, send us the list. And we'll do everything we can to reach that person and get them to the event. Okay, got a question in the chat. Ainsley, does the event allow us to engage with others at the COP event on the other days?
Yeah, I'll come in. I'll come in on that. So the position is that we, various of us in the team, are invited to other things at the event. Now, if I can paint a picture for you of what's going on here on the ground in Glasgow. Many events are still being organized. Many events are still not finalized. We are among the few that have got something fixed, ready to go, and we're at this level of organization. We know that because we're being asked to go on panels, etc., other events. What we are creating out of that is other opportunities for you to be at and potentially pitch at other events. And we would have loved to be able to tell you today where they are and what that actually means. But we can't yet. It's a bit of a watch this space. Just as an example, I have been our lead on talking with Wood, who are building an amazing space in their Glasgow office, completely rebuilding internally to create a number of meeting areas and what they're calling eco labs, and they've wanted us and some of our cohort that fits in with their own business to help them put together a 3-hour session in the week before our event. This will be on the 3rd of November, talking to their audience. So, their biggest customer is widely known as BP, for example. So when we know more, we will be straight in touch with you as to which of you those events relate to. So the short answer is directly yes. I'm also speaking at 2 different marine panels, for example. So I can only apologise that we don't have detail, but that's not down to us genuinely. It's these things are only now being put together. So but we will be in touch with you about all of that. I just wanted to make that clear, Martin.
Yeah, and let me add to that. So there are actually 3 events that we have helped other ventures participate in already, just ones which have been well organized and prepared. The first one is the COPtimism event week before COP. The second one is the Net Zero Technology Centre pitch battle that some of you applied to, and the third one is an event run by Scottish and Southern Energy and Green TV that Power are participating in. So where events have been firm and confirmed with their agendas, we have tried to promote you guys into them. But Andrew's right, there's a shocking level of last minute chaos around the COP, and I think some of it's to do with COVID and travel. But so that's the formal engagement. Informally, Ainsley, you know, especially if you're UK based, I would be just getting up there for 2 or 3 days. You know, it's chock full. It's kind of like the Edinburgh Fringe, where you have the formal stuff happening with the prime ministers and the presidents within the green zone, and then a plethora of fringe events, breakfasts, lunches, dinners, networking events, that just being in town that week, you'll find things to attend. So so hopefully that answers that question. Robert?
Yeah, can I just mention, so we're nailing up on our website a utility to kind of help keep you informed. Rory, is this the last slide in the deck, or is there anything
No, there's
more?
one more to go.
All right, well, let me, all right, well, let me just take over the screen share so I can show everybody where it'll be, and then you can come back in. Is that all right?
Yeah, can I share that with you?
Yeah, I've got it. I've just taken over.
Great.
So on Greenbackers website, and I hope you can all see this, there is an entry in the news events area, and it's basically, you know, interested in COP26, and this is what we have so far. We've nailed up the, you know, the president, you know, the, if you will, the presidency, you know, the what's happening actually at the hydro in the COP village, just so that you're aware of it. The likelihood that you'll be able to get into the COP village is probably, you know, very, very limited, but it's there. And then anything else that we're doing, you know, the CEO dinner, there's something happening at Michelin Scotland Innovation Park in Dundee. You know, there'll be click-throughs to all that information as we learn of things, as things finalize, and as we get the details to post in this. So this will be the place on the Greenbackers website where you can kind of plug into anything else that we're aware of. And if there's something that you're aware of that isn't there, let us know. We'll, you know, we can't keep our tabs on everything. We're keeping tabs on as much as we can, but yeah, we're happy to use this as a kind of a community facility so that you know what's going on and where and when. Okay, so I'll stop the share.
Got five more minutes for questions if we're sticking to the time. And you guys can just engage with us directly offline if you'd rather voice your question that way. But, you know, I would say, you know, you'll get out of the COP what you put into it. You know, if you want to get to Glasgow and get networking and get promoting your venture and use social media, you know, we will help you if you're on the ground in town. We will all be there. It's our hometown, all of us. And the events calendar is emerging in a slightly chaotic last minute way, and that's unfortunate. But at least you've got our event to anchor your presence there, and all the relevant people will be at our event.
Yeah, there's a question in the chat about whether attending our event automatically entitles you to access to zones in the COP. No is the answer to that. The zones are very tightly controlled. So the likes of Wood Group, for example, couldn't get in. to these zones. That's why they are remodeling their whole office to run an event there. I think it is people like SSE who are sponsors of the whole COP, plus the Pope and maybe Mr. Biden. I think they'll be talking amongst themselves in these zones, very tightly controlled. Now, that's not to say that opportunities will not arise. Scottish Government have a strong presence, of course, and we are being asked to help them with events inside the green zone. Now, this comes under the same heading as events I was talking about previously. They're very aware of our cohort. SDI are a sponsor, they're an arm of Scottish Government. There should be, and you know, the reason I have to say should be is around security considerations, of course. There should be ministerial presence at our event. Opportunities to be inside some of these zones may well arise, is about as strong as I can put it at this point in time. But just to be clear, attending our event does not automatically get you into the green zone. That's a very difficult area to get into for security considerations.
No, and I'll give you an example. So the Wall Street Journal has a media centre in the West End of Glasgow that they're running for the whole 2 weeks. Sorry, it's the New York Times, it's not the Wall Street Journal. And they have an excellent agenda of events and panel discussions that are open to the public. You can just apply to attend those, and I'm going to get myself along to a bunch of those, but I'm just doing that off my own steam. So, you know, just do your research around what's on over the 2 weeks and pick things that you think are relevant. If you need help with logistics or how to get around Glasgow, again, we're happy to help. Yeah. So.
Yeah, one last thing, and it's not on any of the slides, but I'll share it with you anyway. I think one of the questions that was in the chat was how many have been invited and what are the profiles, a lot of investors. One thing that we have been doing a lot of, and I'm sharing this with you, this is the event link to our LinkedIn profile of the pitch. We've been doing a lot of push outreach via email, e-shots, but there are also over 700 pre-registered via LinkedIn. You can invite people through this mechanism. All you have to do is, and we'll put the link into the slide deck once I come off of slide of the sharing screen. I'll put the link in for you. But all you need to do is go onto this profile, click on invite, and you can invite up to, I think, 1,500 per week. I don't suggest that you necessarily do that, but certainly if there are investors in your personal LinkedIn networks, you can invite them as well, and we'll just capture them because we're able to download their details once we've captured them. So it's an automatic invitation that goes out. Once you click on them, it's pretty intuitive. If you need any help with that, just let us know, but I think you can figure it out. But this is, this is all about kind of stacking the deck in your and everyone else's favor as far as getting a preponderance of investors into the audience. So this helps us to help you. We're doing pretty well so far. We've gotten, primarily investors have registered for the event so far, and most of the profiles in the 710 are funders, are investors as well. So just to let you know how it's going, but now is the time that we're really going to be pushing out robustly.
Yeah.
Mark did a big e-shot last night, in fact, and we've seen the uptake from that. Some are clicking on the live ticket, some are clicking on the online. It's about 60-40 live to online right now, but we predict that the online will start to really pick up as it gets closer to the COP and people are figuring out whether or not they're going to make their way over here or not. People are still making up their minds. I was speaking to 3 investors this morning just to check them out and see what their intentions were, and all 3 of them were on the fence, didn't know, noted the invitation to the to the COP and to our event, and they will be participating, but they don't know how. And we're only a month out as of tomorrow. A month and 2 days. So anyway, I wanted to share that with you so that you know that it's available to you to help us pull in more investors into the room.
Okay,
Yeah,
Mark,
one slightly prosaic question in the chat I see, just to repeat the deadline for the video slides. When is that again, please? Somebody's asked that in the chat.
Well, there's
28th or 29th?
29th, the Friday. So is it the 29th?
Yeah, it's the 29th.
29th, there you go. And Robert has just put into the chat, if those of you on the chat, the link to that invitation slide, if you can copy that and paste it into your some kind of Word document on your laptop or device that you're using just now, then by all means use that link to invite connections.
Okay, main thing for me is, oh, bad echo. Main thing for me is work on the 2-minute videos, guys. Even though you're presenting in person, work on your 2-minute video. That's my advice. And have your deal and profile up to date, because that's where we're going to see a lot of the interaction. So that's the main thing. Hopefully we've answered the questions. If you think of something else, just ping us, phone us, text us, signal group us. And, we want you to get as much out of it as possible. It's going to be a great day in Glasgow, regardless of the weather. Trust me, it's going to be great. Okay.
So you'll get a copy of everybody, regardless of who attended today, will get a copy of the video of this presentation. You'll get a copy of the pitch deck. We'll add the LinkedIn link into the pitch deck. Rory, if you could take a note of that, put that in the actions, and onwards and upwards, guys. It's now's the time to get your preparation in. Please don't wait to the last minute to do your video. And as Andrew and Mark had said, if you want to do a rehearsal after you've recorded it, or even get some inspiration prior to that, just reach out to us. We're here to help. We want this to be an outstanding day, and we want those 2 minutes to really matter and actually outlive the presentation that you make on the day. So let us know what we can do to help you.
Simon, I see you've unmuted. Do you want to ask a question?
No, I just want to thank you all very much before we log off in person. Thanks again.
That's very kind of you. Thank you. Thank you very much indeed. Please, if any issues come back to us, either individually, collectively, have a look at these links. We're here to help. We're really delighted that you're all part of the cohort, and we are really looking forward to this event. Interest is very high and it's growing, and we'll keep you informed of anything material ahead of time. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Thanks very much indeed, everybody.
Thanks all. Thank you.